Hello everybody, welcome to the TYBSc class. I'm Dr. Jayashree Bandal from Department of Microbiology, KTHM College, Nasik. I again welcome you to the YouTube channel of MVP Samaj, KTHM College, Nasik. We are here to study the subject enzymology, which as per the SPPU syllabus falls into paper 3 titled and named as MB333. In this topic, we have already studied the chapter, or we have studying the chapter 1, enzymes, in which the first unit was to study the active site mapping of the enzymes, and the second topic is to study the role of different cofactors in metabolism. So, as a part of the second topic, we shall start today with studying about the role of nicotinic acid, that is niacin, and the pyrimidine nucleotides, that is NAD and NADP, as cofactors in metabolism. The flow of our lecture, that is within this lecture, we shall be studying the history of niacin, occurrence of niacin, its structure, and its biochemical function. To define cofactors, cofactors are organic or inorganic molecules that are required for the activity of certain conjugated enzymes. To study the structure of enzyme, which we have already studied initially when we started studying this particular course, to define holoenzyme or to see the structure of holoenzyme is an enzyme which has a cofactor also, which has bound to the cofactor also. Whereas apoenzyme is only protein without the cofactor. The cofactors can be classified into two types, the inorganic cofactors and the organic cofactors. The inorganic cofactors are when they are bound tightly to the enzyme, when they form an integral part of the enzyme, they are called as prosthetic groups. Usually, there are many essential ions which play a role of the prosthetic group or the inorganic cofactors. They play a very important role in metabolism. Whereas the organic cofactors, which are usually called as coenzymes, many vitamins or the vitamin derived products play the role of coenzymes in metabolism. These coenzymes usually bind temporarily to the enzymes and leave the enzymes once the catabolic process is completed. Vitamins bind the enzyme either loosely or tightly to the cofactors. The coenzymes are ones which bind the enzyme loosely. That is, they bind temporarily to the enzyme and leave the enzyme after the reaction is over. Whereas the prosthetic groups bind the enzyme tightly. And so most of the metal ions bind the enzyme tightly as a prosthetic group. A simple enzyme consists of protein only. It doesn't have a cofactor. And then also without the cofactor, it is in its active form. Whereas the conjugated enzymes are enzymes which become active only after they combine with the cofactors. So a simple enzyme consists of only protein, whereas the conjugated enzymes consist of cofactors bound to the protein component. So the forms of active enzyme now can be said as a simple enzyme which is made up of protein only, and the conjugated enzymes which can be classified into two types, the protein part of the enzyme which is conjugated with a metal ion as a prosthetic group, and the protein part of the enzyme which is conjugated with an organic molecule when it is called as a coenzyme. To exemplify with the metal ions that play an important role in metabolism, we can take the example of magnesium, which is a part of kinase. We can take the example of molybdenum, which is a part of nitrogenase. Then sulfur and iron, which are parts of the cytochrome oxidase reductases in the electron transport chain, so on and so forth, which you have already studied last year during your course of metabolism. Amongst the coenzymes, we can take the example of pyruvate dehydrogenase, which has five coenzymes or five vitamins as the active at its active site. We can name them as thymine pyrophosphate, FAD, NAD, coenzyme A, lipomide, and it also has a metal magnesium. So this is how your pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme, which plays a key role in linking the linking the EMP pathway with the citric acid pathway. It will be active only if these five vitamin derived coenzymes are available. And we all know that citric acid pathway is again a very important pathway which links to the major energy generating pathway, that is the electron transport chain. So, if these vitamin derived coenzymes are not available, definitely the activity of pyruvate dehydrogenase will be affected and the energy generation will be affected. Probably that may be one of the reasons why, when a person is suffering from anemia, people or the doctors usually prescribe them the pills of multivitamins. Now, coming down to the function of coenzymes, coenzymes are small organic molecules, as we have seen earlier, which make the active site ready for the substrate binding and catalysis. In other words, we can definitely say that in absence of the coenzymes, the enzymes are unable to bind to the substrate. Now, let's see how this happens. Now, coenzymes are not destroyed during the reaction because they bind the substrate. Once the reaction mechanism is over, they leave the substrate. And so they are required in very small amounts. Let's see how this reaction takes place. So this is the coenzyme which is binding to the enzyme, and now we'll see the substrate can bind to the enzyme only if the coenzyme is present. Because if you just look at the conformation of the active site and the shape of the substrate will not properly bind to the enzyme for the catalytic process to take place in absence of this coenzyme. So coenzymes are small organic molecules that make the active site ready or that prepare the active site so that the substrate will properly bind to it. So let us just discuss a little bit about the prosthetic groups and the co-substrates. The prosthetic groups remain bound to the enzyme, as I told you earlier. They don't come out of the enzymes. So they form an integral part of the enzyme. Most of the ions form the prosthetic groups and are important in the catalysis that the enzyme carries out. Whereas some vitamins, or you can say most of the vitamin derived coenzymes, they get dissociated from the active site. They change the reaction and regain the original structure in the following reaction. They transfer the chemical groups among the enzyme reactions. As per Trevor and Palmer, he says that the coenzymes can be called as co-substrates because, as we've seen in the earlier slide, the figure, you'll see that before the substrate, the coenzyme binds to the enzyme. And once the substrate is converted to the product, the substrate leaves and the coenzyme also leaves. So, in the course of the reaction, in the sequence of the reaction to take place to the enzyme, first the coenzyme binds and then the substrate binds. After the catalytic activity is over, the substrate leaves the enzyme first and then the coenzyme leaves the enzyme. So that is why he says that since this coenzyme is assisting the substrate to bind to the enzyme, it can be called as a co-substrate. So together, the co-substrates and the prosthetic groups supply reactive groups which are not present on the amino acid side chains that are present at the active site of the enzymes. A little bit of history just to play our just to give our gratitude to the scientists who have contributed to all this to the role of cofactors in metabolism, it was Dumas as early as 1871. He made an observation that people who were fed on very pure minerals, water, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates somehow, in spite of having all these pure nutrients, did not maintain good health. Then, followed by him, came Leonin with similar findings which he saw in animals. But then he had one more observation to add to it, which was he found that this ill health was restored when they were fed with milk. So, ingestion of milk restored them back to normal. It was Eichmann in 1897 who observed or who studied the disease beriberi, and he said that beriberi was a disease which was seen in people that were fed with polished rice. And then he said that if rice polishings were given to these people in the diet, it cured the disease beriberi. Then it was Grins in 1901. He said that there has to be, he came up with a hypothesis that there must be some protective substance in the polishings of rice which could cure the disease beriberi. Then a group of scientists, Pockelharing, McCollum, and Hopkins, they said that the protective substance in the milk, here, which was used by Leonin, he called them as the accessory factors. Then it was Funk in 1911 to 1912. Within this period, he isolated the crystalline substance from rice polishings, which cured a disease called polyneuritis in pigeons, which was also observed as a dietary deficiency disease. Now, with all these observations, it was Casimir Funk, a Polish biochemist, who isolated the anti-beriberi substance from rice polishings, and he named it as vitamine. This was because he said that the substance which he isolated as the anti-beriberi factor from rice polishings was amine, and it was vital for life because it disturbed the health of the people if the diet is deficient in this amine. Initially, it was thought that all such compounds which are vital for life were amines, and so the name vital amine was justified. But later on, it was found that some of such substances which were vital for life were not amines. And so the name was then changed to vitamins. What are vitamins? Vitamins are small organic compounds which are essential in diet in very small amounts. We are going to justify the reason why they are required in very small amounts a bit later. And they are involved in the fundamental functions of the body, which is very important. Fundamental functions, important functions of the body, which, if not carried out properly, is going to disturb the health of the body. So, vitamins are organic compounds which are important in nutrition. They are needed in very small amounts in the daily diet. They are not synthesized by the human body. And so, you need to depend upon the external sources of the vitamins through your diet. The vitamins, especially the water soluble vitamins, which play an important role as cofactors in metabolism, they cannot be stored in the body because they are water soluble. They are not absorbed in the tissues at all. And so, whatever excess remains are excreted as urine. And so, you need to have a small course of all these vitamins in your daily diet every day. It cannot be used for obtaining energy like carbohydrates and lipids. It is not an energy producing substance like carbohydrates and lipids. It only assists the enzymes which are important in rescuing energy or obtaining energy from carbohydrates and lipids. The vitamins are required as coenzymes in metabolism. We have already seen that. Now, since the human beings are not able to produce it, they must be obtained from external sources like plants and animals. They can be synthesized by microorganisms, animals, and plants. Vitamin deficiencies lead to deficiency diseases. I'm going to give you a summarized form of which are the vitamin deficiency diseases. Vitamins need to be changed to function as a coenzyme. That is, vitamins do not act as coenzymes as they are. They need a little bit of processing to convert them to the coenzyme form. Some vitamins are called as provitamins because they are converted to vitamins after undergoing a chemical change. For example, beta carotene is converted to vitamin E. Now let us see the classification of vitamins. Just to summarize, there are 30 different vitamins that are required in the diet of human beings, animals, and with a few exceptions, the plants and microorganisms to require them. They are essential for normal growth and function in addition to the other nutrients. So, vitamins can be classified as water soluble vitamins and lipid soluble vitamins. The important ones among the water soluble vitamins are the vitamin B group, which includes the B complex vitamins and vitamin C. Amongst the lipid soluble vitamins, the vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K are important. You've already studied this classification and the role of these vitamins in your higher secondary classes also. So, just to enlist the B complex vitamins and their functions, which we are going to study in our upcoming lectures, the vitamin B complex vitamins are B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12. Now, you'll see why the numbers in between are missing. So the numbers in between are missing because some substances had been identified to have a coenzyme role or to have an important role as a dietary component, but afterwards their coenzyme role or their function could not be confirmed, and so those substances were deleted from the list. Thus, the first one, that is thiamine, which its coenzyme form, just now in the earlier slide I told you that the vitamins cannot be used as they are. They need to be converted to a coenzyme form, which then assists the enzyme in carrying out the function. So thiamine, which is B1, it is converted to thiamine pyrophosphate, TPP, and the function that it carries out is decarboxylation of keto acids. The vitamin B2 is riboflavin, which is converted to important coenzyme forms FMN, flavin mononucleotide, and FAD, flavin adenine dinucleotide, and they participate in the redox reactions. Niacin B3, it usually participates as nicotine adenine dinucleotide or nicotine adenine dinucleotide phosphate and their reduced forms, which participate in the redox reactions. Pantothenate B5 is a part of coenzyme A, important in the transfer of acetyl groups. Pyridoxal, which is B6, is converted to pyridoxal phosphate and is important in the transfer of amino groups. B7, biotin, is important in the carboxylation or the CO2 group transfer. B9 folate is a part of tetrahydrofolate, which is important in the transfer of methyl group. Cobalamin, that is B12, is a part of it is present in the form of either adenosyl cobalamin or methyl cobalamin and required in one or two hydrogen shifts. The fat soluble vitamins are not used as coenzymes, but they are important in the important functions of the body like vision, bone formation, as antioxidants, and blood clotting. The fat soluble vitamins are stored in the body and so they are not needed to be included in the daily diet once you have an enough source of it in your body. So vitamin A is required for formation of visual pigments and development of epithelial cells. D is required for absorption and deposition of calcium and phosphate in bones. Vitamin E is required as an antioxidant. It prevents the oxidation of vitamin A and unsaturated fatty acids. And vitamin K is required for the synthesis of prothrombin, important in blood clotting. Now we shall just have a very fast revision of the deficiency diseases caused by the dietary deficiency of the vitamins. So deficiency of thiamine causes beriberi and polyneuritis in birds. Riboflavin deficiency is responsible for dermatitis and impaired growth and reproduction. Nicotinic acid is important in pellagra, dermatitis, black tongue in dogs. The deficiency of pantothenic acid is responsible of few neurological problems. The deficiency of pyridoxine is again responsible for dermatitis and neurological disorders. Deficiency of folic acid responsible for anemia seen in many teenagers or the growing children. Vitamin B12 is responsible for pernicious anemia, and ascorbic acid is responsible for scurvy. Now, let us come to the role of vitamin niacin and its coenzyme forms, nicotinic acid, which is available as nicotinic acid and nicotinamide. So niacin acts as a coenzyme in two active coenzyme forms, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide NAD and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, that is NADP+. NAD and NADP are used in the redox reactions of carbohydrates, proteins, and in fat metabolism also. NAD and NADP are very familiar words that you have used in all the metabolic pathways that you have studied in your second year syllabus. Deficiency of niacin, as seen in the earlier slide, can lead to dermatitis called as pellagra, muscle fatigue, and loss of appetite. The dietary sources which are rich in niacin include meats, rice, unpolished rice, and the whole grains. Relatively high amounts of NAD or niacin is required as compared to the other vitamins. And I think if you just go and memorize all the pathways that you have studied earlier and just try to count the number of reactions which involve NAD and NADP as the other coenzyme forms, you will be able to justify why NAD and NADP is required in high amounts as compared to the other vitamins. Niacin occurs in two forms, nicotinic acid, so here you can see the carboxylic group here, and nicotinamide, where you see the amino group bound here. Nicotinic acid and nicotinamide are then converted to the coenzyme forms nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Let us see each word and compare it with the structure. So the first is nicotinamide. We have seen its structure in the earlier slide. You'll see that nicotinamide is bound to a sugar and then it is bound to a phosphate. If you go back to the structure of nucleotide, you'll see that nucleotide contains a nitrogen base. So here in the adenine nucleotide, you have adenine bound to a sugar and bound to a phosphate. So this is the adenine nucleotide, okay, adenine monophosphate. And you'll just, if you compare this structure of which contains niacin or nicotinamide, which is very similar to the structure of an adenine nucleotide. And so, together, when the adenine nucleotide binds to this nucleotide like structure containing nicotinamide, We call it as nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide because there are two nucleotide like structures bound to each other. The next coenzyme form is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. So till dinucleotide, the structure is similar to the earlier structure or the structure above. Whereas you'll see that here there is one phosphate bound to the sugar which is bound to adenine. And so this coenzyme form is called as nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Whereas the coenzyme functions of both these coenzyme forms are same. So the coenzyme forms NAD plus, that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Both serve as cofactors in the oxidation reduction reactions. And with this characteristic of it, they act as co-substrates for all the dehydrogenase enzymes which participate in the oxidation reduction reactions. NADH is coupled with ATP in the with ATP production in the electron transport chain. NADPH is a reducing agent in biosynthetic reactions. In short, we can say that the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is usually coupled with the catabolic reactions in the cell, whereas the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate is usually coupled with the anabolic, that is the biosynthetic reactions taking place in the cell. There is one characteristic of these coenzyme forms which they exhibit in their reduced and the oxidized form. So when reduced, these coenzymes they absorb light at a particular wavelength, that is 340 nanometers, whereas the oxidized forms do not. And this characteristic of the coenzymes makes our enzyme assaying very easy. That is, the reduction of these coenzyme forms has an effect on the absorption of light, and so we can quantitate the activity of the enzyme. Now let us come to what the biochemical mechanism is. So here you'll see that this is the oxidized form of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which when exposed to two hydrogen atoms, it is one electron and two protons that actually are utilized in the reduction of NAD, that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. So here you'll see there are two protons and one electron, which is here used up in satisfying the valencies of the allied atoms. So there is one proton that remains. And so usually when you're writing the reduced form of NAD or NADP, it is usually written as NADH plus H plus or NADPH plus H plus rather than writing NADH2. So reduction of NAD plus and NADP plus and oxidation of NADH and NADPH, that is the reverse reaction where the hydrogen atoms are now being given out, requires two electrons and one proton at a time. So this proton remains extra. Now we come down. After understanding properly the role of these coenzymes in the reduction oxidation reactions, we shall see a few examples which use the coenzymes. The first one is alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase, it converts ethyl alcohol to acetaldehyde. The reverse process is very important. We have seen where the acetaldehyde is converted to ethyl alcohol. So here you'll see this is ethyl alcohol wherein the H2 atoms are removed. They bind to NAD and then it is converted to NADH plus H plus, and ethyl alcohol is converted to acetaldehyde. The second example is lactate dehydrogenase, wherein lactate is converted to pyruvate. So here you'll see that the middle carbon, the two hydrogen atoms from this central carbon are removed and they are passed on to the coenzyme NAD, which is reduced to NADH plus H plus, and the lactate is thus converted to pyruvate. The third example is isocitrate dehydrogenase, which converts isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. So here also you'll see that the hydrogen atoms from the carbon atom 1 are removed and passed on to NADPH plus to convert NADP to the reduced form NADPH plus H plus. Then it is glutamate dehydrogenase, which also converts glutamate to alpha ketoglutarate, and the same kind of reaction you will observe here, which reduces NAD to NADH plus H plus. Few more examples of the enzymes which require NAD or NADP as the cofactors are pyruvate dehydrogenase, alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, succinate dehydrogenase, and malate dehydrogenase. So, students, I'm very sure you have understood the role of niacin in metabolism. Just to summarize what we have studied in today's lecture is we have studied the structure of enzyme, the apoenzyme, the holoenzyme. We have studied the definition of coenzyme, cofactor, the two types of cofactors, organic and inorganic, the important characteristics of cofactors, that is the coenzymes and the prosthetic groups. Then we have listed the different vitamins which play an important role in metabolism. We have seen in tabular form the coenzyme forms of the vitamins and the role that they play in metabolism, the reaction that they assist in metabolism. We have also seen the dietary importance of the water soluble and the lipid soluble vitamins. We have seen why it necessitates that the water soluble vitamins should be a part of your daily diet since they cannot be stored. We have also quickly seen the deficiency diseases that can be caused by the deficiency of these vitamins in your diet. Then we have seen the structure of the forms of niacin, that is nicotinic acid and nicotinamide. We have seen how it is converted to the coenzyme forms nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Then we have seen how it plays a role by accepting two protons and one electron from two hydrogen atoms and being reduced, and vice versa. It can give away, it can transfer the two hydrogen atoms in the form of two protons and one electron to a substrate to reduce the substrate and getting oxidized itself. So NAD gets converted to NADH plus H plus, and NADH plus H plus can again get converted back to NAD. In the same way, NADP can be reduced to NADPH plus H plus, and it can be oxidized to NADP plus by giving away those two hydrogen atoms. We have exemplified the role of NAD and NADP in certain enzymes, and you might have realized how important the enzymes that we have studied as examples here are in the total metabolism. This highlights the importance of niacin and the factors or the dietary components or the foods which contain niacin to be a part of our daily diet. Thank you.